the ambitious city of Valencia, a city of cobbled streets and congestion, a city of the arts in the America's Cup. But now somehow it's carved out a race circuit. Valencia, the next venue in Lewis Hamilton's challenge for the world title. A challenge that nearly unravelled in the drama of Hungary 3 weeks ago. Hamilton's puncture looks set to cost him the World Championship lead. Felipe Massa's blown engine kept that lead intact. And it gave Formula One a new winner.
Heikki Kovalainen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, his first ever Grand Prix victory.
Kovalainen tastes the champagne for the first time. And now Valencia will be a new experience for everyone as the title battle heads towards its climax. It's got the feel of Monaco, the characteristics of Montreal, but it's a very special challenge all of its own. Welcome to Valencia, where it's qualifying day for tomorrow's Grand Prix of Europe, round 12 of the Formula One World Championship. But it's also the arrival on the scene of the most distinctive new venue on the Formula One calendar. And Louise Goodman has been charting its progress.
When we visited the new Valencia circuit just before the start of the 2008 season, it was very much a work in progress. It's taken 9 months, 700 construction workers, 2,800 steel and concrete barriers and 27,500 tonnes of asphalt. And now they're ready to go.
To have an amazing place like this is for sure, it's not easy. But okay, we have a wonderful team, the people of the permanent circuit and the people of Valencia that are helping us, and so it's not too bad. It's possible to do, and look, we have.
I've followed it all the way through. As you know, it was my idea to put it here, and in particular in this place, not to build a circuit somewhere. So I'm very, very happy.
What do you think that this track offers that maybe some others don't?
Have a look. You can see. It's like Monaco, but it's a modern Monaco.
The cost of all the event is around 70 million euro. But bear in mind that we have had to build up a circuit in a permanent area. So we have a new bridge in the back of the circuit and develop everything and the grandstands and so on and fences. So it's expensive first time for sure, but later it is that we could save a little money because we will have the infrastructure done.
I think the circuit itself, according to everybody, all the drivers, is as good as anywhere else, better than lots, and it's good for team facilities, good for sponsors.
Is it finished?
Yes, it's already finished. Problem is that we have all just-in-time work to have the circuit ready. The small details have been finished, and you will enjoy it with this track, this circuit, and the city of Valencia.
Do you think there are things that other circuits could learn from what they've done here in Valencia?
Get some water.
I think the track looks really cool. There's not really much to say about it. It's a street circuit, looks a little bit like Albert Park, maybe. But we will have to wait and see tomorrow. It looks very dirty.
It looks nice when you walk, but it's a different story when you go 100, 300 around it. So, but I expected to have a good fun when we drive around.
I still think it doesn't really deserve the title street circuit because it's a racetrack built on the side of the harbour, and it's got more of a Melbourne feel around the park and at Albert Park, or it's got more of a Canada feel really than Monaco.
It's more modern track like Bahrain, Istanbul, or even Sepang, Malaysia, with a lot of runoff areas. The barriers are really far away, so safety is very, very good.
I think it's a very special track. It's not a normal street circuit. It's something more than that. It's very good. It's very wide. No white lines in case of rain or anything like that. So I think it will be a good show.
So an exciting new venue, and with Singapore coming up in 3 races' time, we've got 2 new street circuits featuring in this very intense climax to the Drivers' Championship. And Mark Blundell, with a new venue, a new circuit, especially a new circuit like this one, it always means unpredictable racing. We're in for a very interesting weekend.
I think we are, and I think it's a massive challenge for the drivers, the teams, the tyre manufacturers. Everybody's here to try to learn as much as possible in as short as possible time. And, you know, as we see at the moment, it's difficult to actually understand who's going to come out on top.
Is it a street circuit? Is it a race circuit? Is the difference important?
I think the cues are taken from America. I have to say that, having done 5 years out there, it's very much like a street circuit. I think it's a great environment. I think there's a few places where it needs a little bit of tidying up still, but you know, it's got the backdrop. It just doesn't seem to have quite the buzz yet, and I think that's going to come, but it's going to take a few more people, maybe a few more boats.
It will have the atmosphere, that's for sure. The drivers only care about the circuit itself. How long does it take the drivers to learn it?
Drivers at this level, they will learn a track within 3 or 4 laps, and the quicker they learn the circuit, the quicker they can get to understand what the balance of the car is and start to work on that. And that's something that you know, drivers at this level of experience will do very quickly.
So we're in for an unpredictable weekend, that's for sure. One thing that we thought we could predict was the weather. We were anticipating temperatures somewhere around about 100 degrees. It's certainly not that. It's reasonably cool, and it's quite breezy as well. It's the British summer imported here to Valencia.
It's a little bit unpredictable, that is for sure, and I think a lot of teams were hoping that it was going to be warmer. Ferrari definitely would like it to be hot because it suits them with their tyres. If it does rain around this street course here, it will be very difficult for the drivers because it's got no margin for error. If you do make a mistake, you're going to hit a concrete wall, and if you do hit a wall, you're going to have a lot of mess. There's going to be a long safety car period.
Well, the drivers certainly won't mind these weather conditions, that's for sure. Also very unpredictable is that Drivers' Championship after a dramatic Hungarian Grand Prix 3 weeks ago that saw Heikki Kovalainen taste victory for the first time. But it also saw Lewis Hamilton extend his championship lead to 5 points over Kimi Raikkonen, with the unfortunate Felipe Massa in third after his engine blew just 3 laps from what seemed a certain Hungarian Grand Prix win. And all that drama and all that surprise, that came on a circuit that the drivers knew well. Now they come to Valencia with so much to learn about this new venue. We're halfway down the east coast of Spain, Spain hosting its 2nd Grand Prix of the Formula One season. And let's see what Martin Brundle has learnt about this new Valencia track.
A new racetrack is always very exciting. Fresh challenges for drivers and engineers alike. Valencia, 3.38 miles. It's very wide, a medium grip surface. It's more like Montreal, though, than the street circuits of Monaco, in that there are very high-speed straights, 5 times over 190 miles an hour, then heavy braking down into slow apexes, such as this, down at turn 2. There'll be a lot of overtaking coming into here. 180 miles an hour on the approach, squabbling for that apex curb, and turn 3 is quite typical of the layout here. The wall up against the side of the...
And that seems to emphasise it's not a street circuit, it's very much a race circuit. Great overtaking opportunities out there.
That's a big bonus here. There is enough room to make a move on a car. And if you do make that move and get it wrong, at least there's a couple of corners where you won't get in too much trouble. But saying that, I think 23 turns, very hard work for the cars and for the drivers. And I think there'll be a number of guys who do make several mistakes.
There's also concerns about the
turn. I'm told it's been welded down shut, so let's hope it doesn't have any movement whatsoever. But I think the tyre manufacturers will have a little bit of a concern as well.
Well, the track is certainly going to take some getting used to, and so too is the paddock. The setup of the paddock is very distinctive here in Valencia, and Louise and Ted can give us a bit of a tour.
Yes, thank you very much, Stephen. The Spanish flag still at half-mast. We're just coming out of 3 days of national mourning here, following, of course, the terrible Madrid air crash. But really, in the paddock, constant reminders that this is still a working port. These are the America's Cup bases here. That's the Spanish one over here, the Swedish one next to me, and the holders Alinghi and BMW Oracle have got theirs just over the other side. Of course, it's still a container port and a passenger terminal. Just over my shoulder is the ferry to Ibiza that goes once a week. And really on the other side, slightly smaller than that, are the boats of the high rollers. Flavio Briatore's got one there. Vijay Mallya, the boss of Force India, even bigger. And I understand Kimi Raikkonen is also staying on a rather big boat in there. So it does feel a bit like Monaco, but just much, much bigger. And the paddock continues on the other side of these America's Cup bases. And there we can find Louise Goodman.
Well, these have to be the most unusual pit garages I've ever come across at a racetrack. Built in 1890, these were originally warehouses for the port area just behind us. They fell into disuse about 50 years ago, but they've been given a lick of paint, and as you can see, they're now housing the Formula One teams. Matt Dean here is the chief mechanic at Honda. He's going to take us through his garage. Have they done a good job for you here, Matt?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, all the trucks are under cover. Brilliant. In the garage, it's really light, really airy. We've got lots of space, so it's ideal for us, really.
Size-wise, how does this compare to the garage facilities at some of the other racetracks?
This is one of the biggest, definitely one of the biggest spaces. We've got plenty of room for all the different departments, engine departments, gearbox departments, all the composite departments. So everybody's nice spaced out. We're not on top of each other, so it's ideal, really. And
do you get a say in the layout of it, or do you just kind of find out what they've done for you when you get here?
No, we always we have an allocated space down the pit lane, and then we always make a plan, and it's all processed before we come, and then when we arrive we have to set all the garage up. It's an ideal facility, really. So
everyone's happy?
Everyone's happy, yeah. We're always happy here at Honda. So
good job. Have a good session, thanks.
Thanks very much.
And that's one thing that the venue has got absolutely right. The working environment for these teams is spot on.
I think it's a great environment for the team because there is plenty of space. It's not like Monaco, it's not condensed into a very small area. And also I think it's great with the America's Cup, the technology, what's here, a lot of parallels of Formula One.
Yes, for this weekend. Great environment, but there's no time for the drivers to admire the view or soak up the atmosphere. Their first experience of this circuit in practice yesterday certainly got all their attention.
It's Friday morning and we're inside the Williams inner sanctum as Chief Engineer Rod Nelson briefs the drivers on what setups they want to try, which tyres to use and when to run heavy or light fuel loads. It's the same at Honda, where Ross Brawn also knows that amongst the expected changes, he has to allow the drivers plenty of laps. Williams are not very quick, 14th and 16th in the first session, so Rosberg makes changes to the front camber and the rear torsion bars. It's also rear grip that they're looking for next door at Toyo. Back in the Williams garage, Kazuki Nakajima has the telemetry displayed on his TV screen so he can see where he's losing time to his teammates. Rosberg admires his own performance. Into the second session and the dust, and it's good enough for third quickest, prompting street-style celebrations back in the Honda briefing office and a reflection on a good day's work.
This circuit's quite difficult to be consistent around, I think, but we've got pretty good consistency. We're looking after the tyres quite well. So yeah, it's been a good Friday, and we haven't had many of them this year.
Some people might not realise why you wear those funny headsets in the briefing room, even though you're indoors.
It's just a lot easier to concentrate and stay focused while there's a bit of chit-chat going on in the background. So we use them when they work. They're wicked and very useful. Except there's a couple of heavy breathers in there. I'm not sure who they are, but it's not me.
Maybe we should wear the headsets as well. It all looks pretty cool, but the reality of the first practice session at a new circuit is often a bit of a shock after what you've done on computers.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Steve, you know, the quickest processor is still the driver's brain and the engineer's brain, because it's the information that's going to come back from the driver, then the engineer's got to process it. Yes, they've got all that data, but the end result is what goes on in the car, and what the seat of the pants tells the driver what the car's doing.
This is a very fantastic atmospheric pit lane. I don't think there's any pit lane in Formula One with as elegant a facade as this. But you look at the pit lane surface and you talk about the construction dust that's been around the circuit. You've got a lot of that around the pit lane still. If it rains, this is going to be a problem, isn't it?
It's going to be a massive problem. And, you know, we've watched several times the cars coming in here, then leaving the pit, and huge amounts of dust coming up. So very low levels of grip, and that's in the dry. And as you say, if it does rain, it would be like ice in here and be very dangerous indeed.
Because the drivers are clearly still learning out there on the circuit. A lot to learn. Lewis Hamilton with a few
The organisers have been promoting this race as the new Monaco. But unlike Monaco, the quayside is virtually empty. That's no surprise when you consider the price tag for a mooring is around €60,000. The harbour
kind of came up all of a sudden, but it came up really fast and it looks great. I saw the bridge and it's really quite amazing, actually.
It's always expensive, but it's very good.
I prefer Silverstone, but just because the facilities I think are better, like the toilets and stuff like that, but it's fine. At least the weather's nicer here.
I think that for being the first year, they are doing really good, and it is easy, it's friendly, so I'm enjoying.
Well, I'm with former MotoGP ace Randy Mamola, who now lives in Spain, so this is kind of like a second home Grand Prix for you, isn't it?
Very much so. Just over a couple of hours to get down here, and it's been great to come down and see.
What's the buzz been like in Spain about having this race at Valencia?
Just the build-up to this, Louise. Knowing about the America's Cup and where it was, and obviously the existing buildings here. And then Aspar Group, who helped promote the MotoGP circuit, where Formula One tests just down the road here. Finally to get a new street circuit and not having to do a lot of changes to it, very natural, was so much buzz. And I was just in Brno last week. And it's an off weekend for me, but here I am here, and then we've got our race in Misano, Italy next week.
Could you see the MotoGP ever coming here?
No, we're still working off a lot on runoff areas, and we need that extra runoff. Obviously, Formula One, being in the cube that they are, built around them, is really well protected, and we still need those barriers to be a little bit farther back.
But do you think for the Formula One it's going to be a good and produce an exciting event?
I think so. I mean, obviously Monaco is the one that everybody looks at for the pinnacle, but I think this will set new precedent for you guys when you go to Singapore. And I think it's the shape of things to come. Again, Formula One's built on being very safe for the driver, and I think a lot of the drivers are liking this place. I've never driven an F1 car, so to speak. I'd like to one day. Please. But, you know, I think it's something very exciting to happen here.
Thanks for talking to us. Have a good time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Randy Mamola confirms this is very much a Formula One circuit, and in half an hour's time, the teams, McLaren included, will start to understand exactly how successful their preparations and their research has been in the weeks leading up to Valencia. No one does more work on the computers compared to McLaren.
McLaren are very good at that side of things, and then they've had drivers, whether it's the race drivers or their test drivers, in at the simulator at the factory day in, day out, making sure they got as much information as possible before they turned up here. And of course they laser scan the tracks as well these days, Steve. So a laser goes around, scans the circuit, takes in all of the parameters, they feed that data in, and they've pretty much got a good idea where everything is before they go out on the track in earnest.
And have they got it right? Let's turn our attention to the competitive prospects for this coming weekend, and how might this Drivers' Championship table change come Sunday evening. Further reminder that it's a 5-point lead for Lewis Hamilton in the championship, a lead that was extended despite all his problems 3 weeks ago in Hungary. And Heikki Kovalainen's win for McLaren, along with Massa's blown engine, gave McLaren a real boost in the Constructors' Championship. They're now just 11 points behind Ferrari. Timo Glock's second place means that Toyota forge ahead in that battle for fourth, and luck certainly played its part in Hungary, and certainly Lewis was one of the fortunate ones. Now he's had 3 weeks to admire the talents of others.
Having been glued to the Olympics for the last couple of weeks, Lewis Hamilton has particular admiration for Rebecca Romero, winning medals in different sports, as well as a healthy respect for all our athletes.
I think they've all made us very proud. I think, as you know, it's the best year for us in over 100 years. So I think it's fantastic what they've all achieved. Just the stamina they have. I mean, I've been rowing, and I went recently, and I completely suck at it. And the balance that you need, and the whole core stability and everything, they must be. I mean, also the cyclists, you know. But to see some of the athletes that do just not only one sport, but they do two. And you know, they have a normal day-to-day job, and then they train so hard and dedicate their lives, and to win 2 gold medals on 2 sports, I think that's pretty incredible.
Back in the F1 world, Hamilton and Massa both hit trouble in Hungary, but Lewis knows he got lucky when Massa blew up.
I've come here still with a bad weekend, really, although it was not so put me in quite a good position. I feel quite relaxed and quite energetic and enthusiastic about this weekend.
But it was Felipe Massa who was more energetic in Hungary, leading the race thanks to a great start.
I knew I had to do a good start and taking his toll. It was the only way to get some meters to try something on braking.
But ultimately a conrod failed in the engine and blew a hole through the cylinder wall. No points, and Massa down to 3rd in the championship.
It was not nice, for sure. It was very, sad for me to leave the race 3 laps to go. But you know, now for sure I'm thinking forward, and I'm thinking to do a nice performance until the end of the season.
Second in the championship is now Kimi Räikkönen, but he admits he didn't drive particularly well in qualifying and the first half of the race in Budapest.
I haven't been fast enough, that's the first part. But I mean, without going off in the last qualifying, we could easily be in a third place. So it's the small things that when it goes wrong, you lose a lot of time and it looks much worse than it is. I mean, it's not a new issue for us. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes not. More often, unfortunately, we don't get it right.
We need to be even more motivated, and I think we are there. We are competitive, so it's the only thing I want.
It's definitely important just to keep on bringing the points in, and hopefully no more punches, keep it out the wall, and you know, we're here to win, so I believe we're in a good position to do so.
Hamilton's also in a good position to lift a big medal of his own come the end of the season to add to Britain's gold rush.
For sure, I'd like to also do it for the country this year and really try and bring it home, but that's what I'm working on.
Kimi Räikkönen could barely raise a smile as he collected his trophy for third place in Hungary, but the two guys standing alongside him on the podium made up for his lack of enthusiasm. Timo Glock scored his first ever podium, Heikki Kovalainen his first ever victory. On a day when the championship protagonists stumbled, it was Renault, Toyota and Kovalainen who picked up the baton.
I've been targeting this kind of result for, I think realistically for the last couple of months. I felt everything is there in the place to do it and to eventually do it. Of course, you know, it's a very good feeling, and to see enjoyment from everybody in the team. I think you know, it's one of the best moments of the career. Now we just need to repeat it many times.
You went home to Finland after the race. You must have seen a difference in the way that people were talking to you.
Yeah, a little bit, to be honest. It was the first time when I felt that people realized when I was walking somewhere that who he was. It was quite a big difference, but it was no problem, and obviously that's positive. You know, when people come and say, you know, great, you won a race, it's pretty good.
When I saw that Felipe Massa stopped on start and finish, it nearly took me 1 lap to realize that we are P2. And in the same moment, I saw Kimi in the mirror. So it's you know, positive feeling and a bit negative feelings when you know and see somebody's quicker than you, and that keeps you a bit under pressure to make no mistakes. But at the end, you know, I didn't do any mistake, and we were on the podium.
We had a very good weekend, especially for Timo, which went everything well, and he got on the podium pretty well. On my side, I must say that we could have achieved a bit more, but nevertheless we scored a lot of points, which were good not only from the Drivers' Champions, but for sure for the Constructors' Champions. So, you know, the battle for fourth is quite tight between us, between Renault and Red Bull, so only 4 points at the moment, so still a long way to go.
It was the first time the team scored both cars in the top 6, you know, and obviously we're aiming for more than that. Maybe both cars on the podium or both cars top 5, top 4. The car is getting better. Obviously, Toyota seemed to have a good car in Hungary, like last year. Both of the cars were strong as well. So I don't think it's going to continue.
We are improving, that's for sure, and I don't know if that is our real position, but both cars in the points is the target again for this weekend. I think Toyota is clearly our main competitor now, even for the championship, Constructor Championship. They are in 4th position, we are in 5th, and Toyota is our main target for the rest of the season.
Well, so Jackie, what's your impression of the Valencia street circuit so far?
Well, first of all, it's considerably faster than I thought it could ever be. I mean, they're doing sort of 310, 315 Ks. A lot of fast corners, a very fast racetrack for a streets racetrack. It's more like a Spa than it is a Monte Carlo. And not a lot of runoff areas, so it's quite demanding. I mean, that sort of accident hasn't happened yet, but, you know, it'll look very narrow when it happens at that speed. But it lacks, it's not Monte Carlo. I mean, the skyline is more cranes at the moment, and it's more a dock than it is a harbour. Quite nice.
And what about the championship itself? Lewis got off the hook in Hungary, but briefly, do you think he's got the luck this year with him?
I hope so. I think he also has, I mean, he's got extraordinary ability. and of course he is driving a McLaren. So the technology that they have, I think, is probably superior this year to that of Ferrari. This championship's still got a lot of races to run, because after all, you know, 10 points for a first place is a big statement if someone else doesn't finish. So I think the championship will go down right to the very end.
Thanks, Sir Jackie.
So the circuit is fast, it's demanding. Sir Jackie Stewart confirms that. Who is it going to favour, Mark?
I think at the moment you've got to still go with the top guys of McLaren and Ferrari. What one of them is going to come out on top, I'm not sure. Because of the conditions, also a little bit of a situation of tyres. Some of the Ferraris have been running with a hard time, putting in good laps, then have gone to the softer one, struggled again. McLaren look like they need the soft tyre to get the time as well. A couple of other guys out there, Alonso, been very fast. Kubica in the BMW been very quick as well. Bourdais in the little Toro Rosso. Who knows?
But you got the sense that despite the result, Hungary was a bit of a shock to the system for McLaren. How level pegging is it after that Hungarian Grand Prix?
I think there was a big shock to the system in race pace from Ferrari, because it all took us by surprise. I have to say that. Friday they sort of showed their hand and we thought, oh, OK. And then it looks like they lost it Saturday, but they came back Sunday so strong in the race, and I think big surprise McLaren. I think it's still level pegging low in performance, and I think it's just a case of who gets it right soonest.
So many unknowns here at Valencia, as you say. Renault going well, so too Toyota after that result in Hungary. They move 4 points clear in the battle for fourth, and Louise is talking to their team boss, Richard Cregan.
Well, I'm with Richard Cregan, Toyota's team manager. That result in Hungary really consolidated fourth place in the championship for you, but what did it do for Timo's confidence?
I mean, it's given him a great boost. I mean, he had the ability all along, but he was never had the possibility to show it, and there he did. He had a very good run in Canada, obviously, and you know, it's just great for everybody, and second place was mega.
Renault guys were suggesting that you've always done well in Hungary, maybe you're not going to do so well at other events. Is that a fair thing to say?
Well, Hungary's traditionally been a good event for us, but I mean, we found a few issues with the car. We've aero updates now nearly every race, so you know, we're building on it, and I think that no, we'll try and keep ahead of Renault.
But practice not going so well this morning. Tell us about the problems that Jarno's had.
Yeah, I mean, we had a big problem with him gearbox-wise. We had to take the rear end off because of a gearbox oil pump, put it back on, had another problem, put it back on, and had another problem. So with a bit of luck now, we've got rid of all the problems for Jarno. Unfortunately, he got no running. He did do a little bit of aero work, but nothing of significance. But, you know, we know Jarno. He can go out there with very little practice and just put in a good lap. So fingers crossed for him.
Look forward to watching it. Thanks, Richard.
OK, thank you.
Really serves to emphasise that no one can approach this weekend with total confidence, can they?
No, they can't, and it really is because they don't have the experience, they don't have the depth. Everybody turns up here new, they're all learning. Every lap they go out, they're learning something different. And again, when it comes to race conditions, they've got to learn where the actual opportunities are and where they're going to pull those off. A little bit of margin in some corners, but then saying that other corners, there's no way whatsoever they can make a mistake. They're going to pay dearly for it.
So it's been 3 weeks since the Hungarian Grand Prix. What do you reckon Ferrari in particular have been working on?
They would have been working on making sure that they got a stronger qualifying form in terms of getting the balance of their car right, getting the drivers to be more confident so they could push a little bit harder. That's where they've lacked slightly, and I think that's where McLaren have made the difference. But race pace-wise, we're still unknown as to who's going to come out on top here.
And McLaren themselves, apart from the specific preparations for Valencia itself?
Huge amount of work gone on back at the McLaren factory. Of course, there's a testing ban, so no cars are out there on track testing, but all that simulation work, all the guys back in the drawing office, the aerodynamic side of things is where it really has a lot of work go on in that wind tunnel, and I'm sure they've come up with something a little bit more than what they had at Hungary.
OK, let's hear from someone now who might have a slightly different approach to this Valencia circuit. Louise is with the World Trials champion, Dougie Lamkin.
Well, I'm with Dougie Lamkin, 12 times World Trials bike champion. The thing this man can do with the bike you wouldn't believe, but it's your first time in the Grand Prix paddock, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the first time here. I've been to the test at Silverstone before, but no, this is the first time actually to a race, so we're here doing some demonstrations for Alpine Stars, and unfortunately going to be making our way down the road because we're competing in France tomorrow, so still not going to see the actual race.
I saw your demonstrations last night. They were fantastic, and quite a few of the Formula One drivers came along to have a look as well. Any of them ever had a go?
Yeah, there's quite a few of the Formula One drivers have trials bikes anyway, and they're all very competitive, and it's all good for their training and everything, so yeah, it's surprising every time you go somewhere like this is actually how many people do compete with trials bike, which is nice really. So yeah, they were asking for a few tips now and again, but they weren't going too close to the bikes last night, that was sure. They stayed away, which was probably the best thing.
Any of them offered you a go in their car?
Not really, no. I'm going to sit in Mark Webber's car, but I don't think they'll be starting it up for me or anything like that. That is, of course, if I do fit in the car, but no, I'm looking forward to that, so we're just making our way over there shortly.
Have a good time.
Thank you very much.
OK, well, let's grab a quick word with the Red Bull boss, Christian Horner, down here in the paddock. Your cars were a right handful first practice on Friday. Are they any better now?
Yeah, no, we tried a few things on Friday that the drivers weren't particularly happy with, and you know, we were trading times with Force India for most of that session. But you know, some big changes in the afternoon. The drivers were a lot happier again this morning. But it's quite a challenge around here, and you know, it's very fast. It's a fascinating new circuit. The drivers are enjoying it. But the tyres are the key aspect. I'm sure you're hearing many teams talk about the tyres at the moment, and getting on top of and getting the most out of the tyres is crucial.
Yeah, is that going to be the key in qualifying? Of course, we've got the soft and the super soft tyres here. When to know when to use which one?
Absolutely, the tyres seem to be quite evenly matched. So I think as the circuit evolves, as more rubber goes down, it will fluctuate during the sessions. So you know, we don't feel there's much between the tyres at the moment, but you know, we'll see how the next hour unfolds.
Red Bull have dropped down to well, behind Toyota and Renault in the constructors. Are you starting to get a bit worried?
Well, we've seen some big fluctuations in performance over the last few races. You know, Silverstone, we look really strong. We're on the front row. You know, last race, Toyota on that tyre at that circuit looked very strong indeed. Renault, you know, fluked the result in Hockenheim. So it's, you know, some big fluctuations, and we're still in the hunt. We're still in the fight. We've got some circuits that are coming up that we know will suit our car. We've got still development pushing on that we're trying to get onto the car. Here's a little bit like Canada. We had a strong car in Canada. It was DC's only points there, albeit on the podium, you know, so far. So hopefully we can have a good run here this weekend.
OK, thanks, Christian.
So tyres the key, according to Christian Horner at Red Bull, and I presume
That lap, so a lot of pressure on them.
And we'll get plenty of aerial views of this stunning circuit, and you've got a good view of the high-speed sections and the demands that this circuit will make in terms of high speed from the cars and the drive. Mind you, first of all, of the ITV F1 website with its news and video updates and its fantasy competition as well. And we also need to give you a chance at the ITV F1 competition.
Last week we asked you who was the last Williams driver to win the World Championship. The answer was Jacques Villeneuve, and well done, Roy Hill, you are off to Monza. This weekend you get a chance to become part of the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes team at the Italian Grand Prix. You and a friend will be flown to Milan on Thursday the 11th of September and stay in a 4-star hotel for 3 nights. On Friday, you'll get your team kit, have a tour of the paddock and the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes garage, and watch practice alongside the mechanics. On Saturday, you'll assist at the pit lane walkabout, have a tour of the brand centre, and have a look behind the scenes at Bridgestone. Then you'll watch qualifying from the motorhome, meet some of the race team during pit stop practice, where you'll be pushing the car into the pit box. On race day, you'll help out with the race team lunches, set up the race team's kit, and then you'll change into your ovals ready to watch the race from inside the garage. Right, here's Heikki with the question.
To be in with a chance of winning this great prize, a courtesy of Vodafone, please answer this question correctly. I come from Finland, but what is the capital of my country? A. Helsinki, B. Oslo, or C. Moscow?
To enter, call 09049 596789. Calls cost £1 from a BT landline. Calls from other networks may be higher, and calls from mobiles will be considerably more. Or you can text the word F1 and your answer A, B or C to 63337. Text costs £1 plus 1 standard network rate message. Digital satellite and cable viewers can enter by pressing their red button now. You can also enter for free at itv.com until 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of August. Entrance must be 18 or over, and lines close at 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 26th of August. Entries made after closing time won't be counted but may still be charged.
Good luck with that, and we'll see you in Monza. Now, Martin Whitmarsh has joined us with a final word on McLaren prospects for the weekend. Give us an idea, Martin, of the kind of work that's been going on at McLaren over the last 3 weeks.
Well, no one's been on holiday. We've been working hard. Obviously, it's a new circuit for us, so we've had to learn it. We've had to come and do all the surveys, produce the simulator, the drivers being prepared for what is a really new and exciting circuit, and something that we've got to make sure we also, at the same time, we've improved our car. There's a real fight, as people know, with ourselves and Ferrari, and we've got to make sure we improve the underlying performance of the car. So all that's been busily happening. while some people have been on holiday.
How accurate do you feel the research has been? Do you think you got it right on the evidence of the last couple of days?
I think if the cars are down to about 137 this afternoon, we've got it right, because that's what we thought we're coming into this event. And obviously yesterday was quite dusty. Circuit was rained on yesterday, so it's a bit green. There's a threat of some rain coming in at the moment, so we hope it's going to remain dry. We can see a real cluster bomb of showers coming in from a southeasterly direction, so that's causing a bit of stress and strain in the organisation right now.
Martin, just underline to us about that weather. I mean, if that is the case, the weather's coming in, are you going to go out there early and bank a lap, or are you going to still try and sit and let some of the guys put the rubber down and get the faster lap?
Well,